This week on Unplugged Urban,
We're going on a road trip. You think we had enough snacks?
we have more snacks than we usually do in our house.
This week marks our 24-year anniversary. You gotta love that mullet. Danielle and I decided to celebrate with a trip to the beach. Astoria, Oregon to be precise. Astoria is home to beautiful beaches, amazing hilltop views where small children can fly balsa wood airplanes, international shipping, and of course the backdrop to that blockbuster hit, Goonies. If it weren't for Back to the Future, Rambo Part 2, Rocky Part 5, and like 3 other movies, Goonies would have been the best-selling movie of 1985. And if you're wondering if we went to see the iconic house from the movie, that would be a no, as it currently looks like this. Also, if you're wondering if we went to see some of the sights of all the other 80s and 90s films that were made in Astoria, well, we thought about it but decided Short Circuit, Free Willy, and Kindergarten Cop really didn't have that same charm as the movie that makes fun of obese kids and people with deformities and disabilities stemming from negligent parents that drop them frequently as infants.
Break! Fall!
I only dropped you once. Well, maybe twice.
The Goonies. According to Google Maps, our trip from Portland to Astoria is about 100 miles and 2 hours of travel time. That may not seem like much of a road trip, but for a vehicle with a maximum range of 82 miles and sparse charging stations, especially fast chargers, this easily falls in the category of road trip when it comes to planning. It might even fall into the category of space travel when it comes to planning. The 82-mile spec for our Chevy Spark EV does not account for incline, weather, acceleration and deceleration, and multiple passengers and luggage. Based on all of these factors, we planned for 2 stops on our way to Astoria. Our goal in this episode is to give you a taste of traveling via electric vehicle. And as always, at the end of this video, we will rate this life hack on the Hackometer. If you're planning an EV road trip, there are some things to check and consider before leaving on your trip. The route is probably the most important pre-travel detail to work out. For this trip, Google Maps presented 3 fairly similar options. The first was via Highway 26, the second via Highway 30, and the third a combination of I-5 and Highway 30. It's important to note that Google will default to directions that are the quickest route. For an EV road trip, this is not typically helpful. There are 4 important things to consider on an EV road trip. Number 1, the number of fast chargers along the route. Number 2, the shortest distance, which isn't necessarily the fastest. Number 3, terrain. Traveling over high inclines will significantly tap your range. Number 4, speed limit. Most electric vehicles have the best range when driving under 50 miles per hour. Looking at these 3 routes, Highway 26 was the fastest and shortest, however, traversed the Pacific Coast mountain range and had a stretch of 73 miles with no chargers. The I-5 Highway 30 route would have worked, however, incorporated a 42-mile stretch with a speed limit of 65 miles per hour. My calculations show that we would have made it, however, on the way to the first stop, our mileage would have been much tighter. The Highway 30 route had the best of all elements, several fast chargers along the way, minimal terrain, and a top speed of 55 miles per hour. Once I've decided on the route and charging locations, I always make a spreadsheet with the number of stops, estimated charging time, and estimated range balances at each stop. This helps me know how I'm doing on my mileage as I approach each stop. Additionally, I record a list of charging locations in the event that my mileage is not as good as expected, or a charger is busy or not working. To find the best charging stations for your vehicle, I highly recommend the PlugShare app and website. Here you can locate stations by charger type and see a history of recent charging to make sure the ones you choose will be working properly. The last pre-trip item I always check is tire pressure. Tire pressure can affect mileage as much as 3%. These seem insignificant, only amounting to a few miles difference per charge. However, if you miss the next charging station by a few miles, it will seem much more important. Now that the route was selected and Sparky's tires were set to nominal pressure, it was time to start packing. The list of items to take included 2 bikes, camera gear, food for 2, a board game in the event of rainy weather, and 2 bags of clothing. You may have noticed the difference in size between my bag and Danielle's. This difference may explain why she is always better dressed than me. One travel note for a weekend trip to Astoria: Bikes are great to bring along or rent when you get there. Between the Riverfront Trail and the many trails of Fort Stevens State Park, you'll find a ton of beautiful biking adventures.
All right, we got the car packed, ready to go. Time to hit the road. So Danielle's at work today. She's working like a half day, and my job was to get the car all packed and then pick us up. So we're gonna update you on our mileage as we go. Right now, the Sparky says that I've got 66 miles. Our first stop is going to be on the west side of town. We live on the east side of town. Actually pretty close to where, up until Friday, I used to work. I've now taken a new job on this side of town. So Sparky's going to get a little break as far as driving goes, which is good. But anyway, so we're going to go pick Danielle up. Here we go. Oops.
You got my electric bike in here?
No, I didn't get your electric bike in here.
Aww. I didn't know we were bringing bikes.
Of course, bringing bikes.
Okay.
How's work?
And a helmet this time for Astoria?
2 helmets. I mean, one for me, one for you.
I really don't want to smash my face up again.
Yeah, last time we went to Astoria, we borrowed a bike that was there, but they didn't have helmets.
They were really nice, like beachcomber bikes. No bikes.
Okay. Yeah, they were cool bikes, but Danielle fell into the train tracks and dumped her bike. And
hit my head on the curb.
You ready?
Yes. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. So, not today, but this weekend is a special weekend because
it's our 24th wedding anniversary.
24, and a year ago, we filmed our first episode, which you should watch if you're interested in road trips or EZVs, because our first episode was a video about electric vehicles. We talked about like our top 10 things that we liked about them, didn't like about them.
You're not going to go out to the freeway?
Oh yeah, I should have gone that way. This weekend we're heading to Astoria for the weekend.
Yep.
And we're taking an electric vehicle. Sparky has an effective range of 82 miles, according to Chevrolet, the manufacturer.
And you've gotten, what, 120 out of it before? 118?
Probably about 118, I think, is the top end of what I've got. Now, 82 miles is on flat road in town. You know, that's like very optimistic. And so I'm estimating that I'm going to get about 65 miles of full charge because we got some freeway driving to do. So we're going to show you all the different places we charge. We're going to kind of give you an idea of like how much longer it takes than if we'd taken a gas vehicle. We're going about 150 miles. So obviously we couldn't get there even on a full charge with one at the best possible. Even if it was all flat and I got 118 miles, that would be impossible. So we have to stop and charge. We're going to be stopping probably twice to charge.
Okay.
There we go. And hopefully not. Well, it's kind of fun. Maybe getting on a boat, maybe not. You never know.
I don't have any cash.
Oh, that's true.
For a ferry ride.
Yeah, we ended up on a ferry one time.
And thank goodness we had cash.
Yeah. It was
just
an electric
enough.
ferry, too.
It was an electric ferry.
Well, we made it to our first charging station. We've got about 45 miles left, so we only use about 20 of our miles, which means, and I know from our house to here, it's about 26 miles. So we did a little better than expected. Sparky's charging.
You drafted behind some people, so
that helps. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But one of the things you want to consider when you're stopping at charging stations is how many chargers do they have? Not just do they have a charger, but how many do they have? Like I said earlier, you always want to check and make sure that nobody's left a status that says, hey, it's not working. I checked this one before we left today, and it said their fast charger is working, but you can see behind me, they actually have 2 fast chargers and I think 8 level 2 chargers. So the ones behind me, they're not fast. It takes about 4 hours to charge your car. But worst case scenario, if you get here and you're like, well, I've got something. So all the charging stations we're going to today, except for when we get to Astoria, have multiple chargers on them. So that's a big plus.
Yes.
And also keeping in mind what's the next closest charging station. So like our next charging station's in Rainier. There's actually 2 within 10 miles, both east and west of that charging station, just in case we run into trouble.
Oh, and for us, we have free towing within 25 miles. So is there another charger 25 miles?
Yeah, actually, so I have had Sparky towed one time.
You figured out what empty was.
Yeah, I got it down to like empty, and the guy's like, how far do you need to tow it? And I got it within maybe 2 blocks of our house. I'm like, 2 blocks. He's like, seriously? And he's like, you need to go to a shop? I'm like, no, I just need to go to an outlet. That's basically, someplace that has electricity.
In front of my house.
So if you do take your car on a road trip, it's probably worth having AAA. They can't jump your car. It's not going to work like that, but they could get you to another charging station. For us, we have, with our insurance, they'll take us 11 miles any direction without charging us anything. So yeah, as long as it's within 11 miles, we're good. Although it's not a great plan. Like, you don't want to go, well, as long as we get within 11 miles, because it'll take a while to get the tow vehicle there. So another thing that we look for at charging stations is like something to do, because usually you're going to be there for at least 20 minutes. This is actually pretty close to where I work, or used to work as of
Yesterday.
Friday. Yeah. But as you saw us walking in there, this is like a COVID testing station. There's tons of people here. They got like a huge parking lot and this really nice, beautiful
Stadium.
yeah, like the sports stadium. And so it's a good place to go for a walk. So usually I try to find a place we can charge where we can either eat something, shop, or go for a walk. One of the 3.
Quite often there's charging stations by Starbucks. So you
That's
have
true.
to be
Yeah.
careful though, because sometimes it can cost you a lot more.
A lot more than you're
fuel
saving
up.
than you're saving on
Yes.
yeah. And really, the other thing too is like electric vehicles are huge savings for commuting. Not for road trips, not so much, because like we'll probably be about the same cost as gas, but most of the fast charging stations are going to charge you anywhere from $5 to $15 to fill up, and it's not going to get you as far as $5 to $15 of gas. So, well, maybe $5 of gas, but not $15 of
When we go on a
gas.
big road trip, we usually rent a car. It's
Yeah.
just not
worth it.
not worth the time. First of all, time
Yeah,
is
exactly.
a big piece.
Yep. We made it,
We found it.
and guess what we're next to?
A grocery outlet. Wine.
Bargain market. Yeah, we gotta get some cheap alcohol.
There you go.
It's our anniversary,
That's right.
So it's a really good idea to have like just about every app you can imagine on your phone, because half the time this is what happens. Like 9 times out of 10, the credit card readers, they can't run the credit card. I'm gonna try my phone. The apps I use are EVgo, Blink,
ChargePoint.
ChargePoint, and then there's a new one that this charger said works. Well, the people on PlugShare, which PlugShare, I've talked about that already, but you definitely want that. It'll tell you where all the map, and people put good feedback on it. So we're gonna try this one. It's called Green something. It's called Green Lots from Shell.
Okay.
Like the gas people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit the button. Go. I want the CSS. Start charge. Got it. Do it.
Initiating. Woohoo!
Sounds good.
That's always a good sign.
See if that goes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I mean that-
Green.
So the bottom line is like every one of these different service providers uses a different app, and my experience is you can try bringing a credit card, but the app always beats the credit card.
Right.
If you have an app, use the app. notice too here, even though we have the fast charger over there, we've got the slow charger just in case. Because if we got here and this thing wasn't working, we'd at least be able to hopefully go off of that one.
Let's go get some alcohol.
Let's go get some road trip garbage.
They're spicy.
They're good though. I like them. All right, so last stop we have, says on here 70 miles, 68 miles. So I've been improving as we've been going. So we've been doing better than we thought. We're in Rainier, Oregon. We got here with 30 miles left to go. And so Astoria is about, I think, 55 miles away. So this is going to be the tightest one. But we still have 10 miles left over. So we hit the fast charger and basically had just enough time to go in, get some junk food and alcohol, and get back. So it really didn't. You know, the thing is, especially for me, I don't like to drive very far because I usually fall asleep. So stopping every hour is pretty nice. And honestly, we had to go to the bathroom, get something to eat. So it's kind of like, if you're going on a road trip anyway that's not super long, and you're going to have a couple stops, it's not that big of a difference.
Charge door's open.
Oh yeah, I got to close the charge door.
It's like leaving your gas cap on. Oh, off.
No.
Right?
If you are traveling, if you are taking a road trip with an EV, you should always take your charger with you. Most EVs, they come with the charger. This one's right by the spare tire kit, although we don't have a spare tire. We have to fill up your tire and hope it stays full till you get to some place you can replace your tire. Anyway, so yeah. Also, if you're at a hotel, try to get on the first floor because free charging.
Nice. It was made for us. So what else did you bring?
Brought a projector.
You brought a projector. Why'd you bring a projector?
Okay, so Netflix, you can't like plug a laptop into one of these screens, you know, at a hotel and share it on the screen. And so I thought, I'll just bring my own screen, and we have a portable projector, so I just brought that, which is also a screen you can't share to. So I don't know why I thought bringing a projector would help.
It was a really good idea,
We're still binge watching on a laptop screen tonight. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're out for our morning bike ride with our morning coffee.
Yes, but it dawned on me as we're sitting here enjoying the weather, and then we're like, okay, we got to go back and check out of our hotel. I take like an hour and a half to drink my coffee in the morning, so 15 minutes of guzzling my coffee just doesn't quite work for me.
Not making a dent. I'm gonna ride one-handed, I think, and hold your.
I got about halfway done.
Yeah, we didn't get bikes with cup holders. We should have.
Yeah.
So, well, yesterday we made it here with 10 miles to spare. The last stretch was a little close. So the thing about driving an EV is if you want to extend your range, slow down. That's the easiest way, and that's what I did. I slowed down. I let a lot of people pass me.
And when you went downhill, you were on the brake just a little bit, which helps recharge it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just really paying attention to the acceleration and deceleration. But I want to give you some numbers because I crunched the numbers on how our trip went in comparison to if we had taken a gas vehicle. Now, the great thing about the Spark EV is there is also a regular Spark. Chevrolet produced for, I think, 3 years an EV version of the Spark, and the rest of the time it's a gas vehicle. So I was able to get mileage data on a 2015, which is what ours is, gas-powered Spark. So let's talk about time. So the total trip for us was just under 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Now that did include stops, so which you're probably going to have. It depends on how you drive. You can drive 2 hours straight, you can make this in 2 hours. I can't drive 2 hours straight. I will fall asleep and I have to go to the bathroom. So Google Maps said from where we left our house to picking Danielle up to getting here, it was a 2 hour and 12-minute trip. We took 4 hours. So it's figured double the time. And that's been our experience. Anywhere we go, it's about twice as long, assuming you have fast chargers. If you don't have fast chargers, it's days.
Yes. It's a lot longer.
Gas-powered Spark is a very fuel-efficient car. So even if you, and it's a very versatile car. You saw how much stuff we put in ours.
And we didn't even have it full this time.
Yeah, we've got it full.
We've had it full.
Like really full. So even if you're not going to get an EV, if you want to just get a Spark, it's actually a really good car. It's got a good safety rating. Gets 39 miles to the gallon, which means that for the trip that we went on 111 miles at, you would have used about 2.8 gallons. I checked with AAA and they said the going rate right now in Oregon, the average cost per gallon of gas is $2.59. So that comes out to $7.26 had we taken a gas-powered Spark. As far as cost goes, you know, the gas-powered Spark, a little over $7. We were right about $9, so it's not a big difference. Now, that is for a fuel-efficient comparison of like the Spark.
The same car.
Yeah, the same car. If we'd driven an SUV, then our Spark would have been, the electric charging would have been way less expensive.
It'd be fairly inexpensive to charge.
Right.
For the actual electricity, but then what you end up paying for is the food you go get,
well, that's
and the
true.
shopping you
right,
do,
exactly, yeah,
and the things you do while you're trying to pass the time.
Right.
So as far as charging on a fast charger versus gas, we were a little more expensive, but it's about the same because you stop and you get gas. What do? You go into the gas station, you get a snack, you know, whatever. So you have to be careful of, is it actually more less expensive?
Less
That's
expensive,
not the word.
yeah.
Is it actually less expensive, or is it just fun?
I think Danielle really hit the nail on the head here. It's all about personal preference. If stopping every hour to figure out how to use a charger you've never used before, paying close attention to rates of acceleration and deceleration, finding the best RV or freight trailer to draft behind, and doing constant mileage calculations in your head does not seem like a good time to you, then a gas-powered vehicle might be the right choice for your next road trip. Road trips are as much about the journey as they are the destination. Many of our favorite memories of summer vacation are not so much about where we got, but the adventure getting there. I personally like the challenge of getting to a destination with some problems to solve along the way. Additionally, I like taking my time to get there and often on a road less traveled. EV trips are typically along the back roads and not on the freeway. I also find it easier to take an extra stop, like this park we found along the Columbia River. This is a personal choice, but if you're all about making good time, gas power is definitely the best choice. You might find it odd that a channel devoted to living green would recommend the use of gas-powered vehicles. However, in the grand scheme of climate impact, road trips are far from our biggest issue. It's hard to find exact numbers on the climate impact of the average gas-powered road trip, but here are a few facts to consider. According to a 2017 study by the U.S. Bureau of Transportation, the average American spends 55 minutes a day in their car, driving an average of 29 miles per day. Additionally, according to a 2019 New York Post article surveying 2,000 Americans, on average, each person spent 23 hours on a road trip during the summer. This means that if Americans spent 23 hours during each of the additional 3 seasons, this would only account for about 6% of their total driving for the year. If you truly are concerned about climate change and vehicle emission, your best bet is to buy an EV for daily driving and rent a car for the road trip. Car rental has great advantages over ownership for a road trip. Maybe it's a family trip with friends. This is a great time to get the passenger van. Perhaps a sunny weekend getaway for 2. Let's get that convertible. Another option is air travel. On average, airplanes emit 57% fewer carbon emissions than cars per mile per passenger. It was great to know that 93% of the energy used on our trip this weekend came from renewable sources with no greenhouse emissions. That being said, daily driving is the more important environmental consideration here. So why is it that only 2% of all vehicle sales are electric vehicles? And furthermore, why are the top 5 selling vehicles in the United States pickup trucks and SUVs, with an average city mileage of only 22 miles per gallon? When making a purchase, most Americans want the most versatile, capable vehicle possible. This is why sport utility vehicles are so popular. The problem is that 90% of the time, that SUV is hauling one driver around or sitting in traffic. As I mentioned earlier, up until last Friday, I used to commute 65 miles round trip to work every day. Most other vehicles I sat in traffic with had one occupant and were SUVs, trucks, or vans. This may be anecdotal, however, the surveys tend to match this data. I think the underlying issue is that when purchasing a new vehicle, most new owners consider the 1% of the time extreme uses of that vehicle instead of the 99% of the time single occupancy, no cargo, not towing anything mileage. Additionally, most people are nervous about a car with only 82 miles of range. However, 82 miles is nearly 3 times the average daily driving distance.
How to wrap up this episode, it's kind of a mixed bag. Our life hack this week is EV road trip, which does seem like a bit of an oxymoron, but we are still going to, as always, give you a score on the Hackometer. So Here we go. Let's start with healthy for you.
Well, healthy for you because you don't do well driving long distances.
Right.
And so if you're the one driving, which is best in an EV because you drive much more efficiently than I do,
Yep.
stopping every, hour and a half or so
That works
is a
great.
good idea.
And I like the challenge too.
Yes. I can drive, gas vehicle 10 hours straight and be totally fine. So healthy for you, yes.
Yeah, but I think on average, most people would be stressed out by it, the average person. So I think we're gonna give it a 3 on the health scale. On the affordable, it's kind of a mixed bag. It really wasn't any less expensive than the same gas vehicle, so I'd say a 5 because it's about average. Clean, I would definitely give it a 9. As long as you're driving in a state that has renewable energy, as ours does and most of the West Coast, it's definitely better for the environment than the CO2 emissions of, she's purring.
You're being so noisy.
You have to. So finally, the last score is simplicity.
It's not simple at all.
I think this might get a 1.
It is very challenging. If I was to choose a road trip, I would never drive an EV because it's too complicated and way too much to think about and too much stress. But you love the nerdy aspect of it and you like the challenge.
I do, but that doesn't mean it's simple. If you have to put together a spreadsheet and 5 apps and have backup plans, that is a mission to Mars, not a road trip. That's our overall hack score. How about Astoria? What was your favorite part of going to Astoria?
Oh, I love Astoria. It's a nice little beach town. I'd never been to the Astoria Column, which is a monument, and it was well worth the $5 that you have to pay to get up there. And it's a 1-year payment per car.
For every time you come back.
So, if you want to go several times, if you go to the beach a lot or whatever, you can get in there for free the whole year as long as you've got your little receipt.
Yep, receipt, yeah.
And the almost 300, well,
it's like 270 degree view.
270 degree view was unbelievable, and it was a perfectly clear day. It was beautiful. I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, don't go on a rainy day, but even if it's overcast, it would still be a great day. We didn't even get to go into the tower, which is normally open, but because of the COVID restrictions, it wasn't. I would still say even if you can't climb the top of the tower, it's still worth the $5.
Yeah, it's still worth going up there.
It was super good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, my favorite part was bike riding. I love riding through the downtown area.
Right.
That's super cool. And then we had never done this before, but riding on the beach was kind of fun.
Riding on the beach was fun.
It was really cool.
I decided next time I want an electric foldable bike.
It's a lot of work, but it's really cool.
You can sell my big electric bike and just get me a fold-up bike.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that was fun.
We're going to leave you with one little last bit, and that is us coming home. I took the challenge on the way home to see if I could make it all the way home with just one charger. So we'll let you see how that goes.
Lloyd Center in charge.
We're not stopping at Lloyd Center.
Why?
Because I think we can make it home. this is a good testament. Yeah, we got
17 miles. How
left.
far is it home?
I think it's less than 17. It's about 17.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a couple things. We've only stopped once on the way back, and when we stopped on the way back, we had a lot more mileage on the way there.
Why?
I think just because I'm more relaxed. I think it has to do with your driving style. And the more relaxed you are, it just shows. Like, the calmer you can accelerate, decelerate, smoother you can make turns.
Whoa, that's not a smooth turn.
That was a very smooth turn. The better off you're going to be as far as mileage. So the altitude difference can play into it. I don't know if maybe we had a tailwind. That might be.
True.
But the altitude, technically we went up because Portland's higher altitude than Astoria. So, I don't know.
Okay.
The good thing is that there's another charger about halfway, well, not quite halfway, about a third of the way home. So if for some reason this is dropping off, we'll probably stop and charge. But,
Plus, we're off the freeway.
well, that's...
So we get better mileage because we're just on city roads, not on freeway.
And the other thing about this is a drive I do all the time. And so I've been in this situation with this much mileage and made it home before. So that's why...
With miles to spare.
Miles to spare. Actually, that's the charger right there. We just passed the second one. So we're pretty much committed at this point.
Okay. Well, at least we're close to home, so, you know.
Unless I get, like, a little less than halfway home and I decide to come back here.
Right.
So, also being in Portland, I'm pretty sure there's probably another charger between here and our house. So, maybe not a fast charger, but...
All right. Stay tuned.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, how we doing?
It's tight. I mean, we're good. We just passed 82nd.
13 miles.
13 miles. My prediction is going to be we're going to hit our house with 3 miles.
3 miles, yeah.
It's going to be tight.
I was thinking 3 miles too.
Yeah. I mean, the big difference is, like, had we stopped at, we're going to get home pretty close to the same time. Had we stopped at Lloyd Center and fueled up there, we would have hopped on the freeway and booked it at 60 miles an hour home.
Right, because we could blow through it.
Exactly. But we're just driving basically an average of probably 30 miles an hour on half the amount of energy.
Right. How far from home are we?
I think we're less than 2 miles.
Okay, and what did you just get?
Well, I just got the charge vehicle soon. There's a couple of warnings. The first one is the last bar on here, battery charge status, starts blinking at you. You can see it's blinking. And it's very angry. The rest,
it's starting to get angry.
Yellow, then it starts blinking. Then it says, hey, you should charge soon. That's a warning that comes up. And then the next warning that comes up is
propulsion. Well, no, you already got reduced propulsion. Oh, you haven't gotten that one yet.
No.
And after that, then it says, do you want to turn off the heater? And so infotainment center would go off, or they'd ask if you want it off.
And then the last thing it says is, like, it stops calling out miles. It just says low. And then
it turns red.
No, it doesn't turn red. It just disappears. You have no battery left when it says low. And then I have gotten it past low. I've gotten it to where it doesn't say anything. Which is just like
it will shut off the infotainment center too if you get to low. It doesn't give you a choice. Yes.
Well, I do know that the last warning you'll see is charge vehicle now, and then at that point it's kind of like you're on your own.
You're on fumes.
Yeah, like if you haven't bothered to plug in, it's your own fault. So.
All right, we're coming down our street. What do you got?
We got 6 miles. Better than I thought.
Better than I thought. I thought we would have 3.
Yeah. It just goes to show, like, when you're going somewhere you don't know with your electric vehicle, you want to plan for the worst and have plenty. When you're coming back, the closer you get to home, the more familiar you are with that drive, and the more likely you can, not be so cautious and be a little more aggressive with your mileage usage and get 100% of the energy out of your vehicle. So, which is pretty much what we did.
Yes, we did. Good job.